Welcome to our pre-recorded foster care orientation. My name is Diana, and I will be your main point of contact for anything foster related. I'm absolutely honored to be a part of the Humane Society of Greater Miami's efforts in helping countless of orphaned animals. However, it would not be possible without the help of each and every foster parent. So if you're tuning in today, please give yourself a round of applause because you are officially a foster hero. Within this orientation, we will be covering who we are as an organization, the foster care categories we have to offer, and our standards of care that will provide you with the knowledge and power to foster and ultimately save as many animals as possible. To get started, let's take a look at who we are as an organization. The Humane Society of Greater Miami is a limited admit adoption guarantee facility. At our shelter, animals are free from the threat of euthanasia due to time, space, and treatable medical conditions. Necessities such as shelter, food, veterinary care, and plenty of TLC are provided while our animals wait for their forever home. Pictured here is a neonate kitten named Cheerio. He was abandoned at the shelter with ringworm and was way too young to stay overnight alone. Thankfully, one of our wonderful foster parents stepped up to the plate and cared for Cheerio when he needed it the most. Cheerio was fostered until he was physically and socially ready to return back to the shelter. On the right-hand side of the slide is Cheerio post-foster care with his new forever family. Furthermore, as a private not-for-profit organization, we are supported by our programs, services, fundraising events, private grants, and last but not least, donations, such as the ones pictured here. In addition, the shelter offers the following programs and services to educate, inform, and inspire the community to treat all animals with kindness and to take responsibility in regard to their pets' care as well. To learn more about these programs and services, visit our website at www.humanesociety.miami.org. Now that we have acquainted ourselves with who and what the shelter does, let's get started with learning more about the foster care program's goal and its categories. The goal of our foster care program is to provide the necessary care for animals that are better served outside of the shelter, such as pregnant and nursing moms, neonates, weaned kittens or puppies, medical cases ranging in age, and socialization cases. This allows us to increase the number of animals we can assist and helps us improve the quality of adoptions. The socialization that takes place within the foster home gives each animal the best possible chance to remain in their future home as a well-adjusted pet. Over the next couple of slides, you will learn about each foster category and the animals that have benefited from the program. On this slide, we have Joey, a 6-week-old kitten who only needed a 2-week foster period. During this short amount of time, Joey established positive experiences within a home environment before he met his forever family. To the right of Joey is a 2-week-old puppy named Harley who was abandoned at the shelter when he was only a few days old. Thankfully, Harley had an amazing foster parent who was willing to bottle feed him every 2 to 3 hours for the first 2 weeks of his life. Harley then remained in foster care for an additional 8 weeks. First up on our foster category list is one of the most rewarding categories, and one of the easiest to foster. The ideal foster for a mom and babies is someone who can provide a calm, quiet, and comfortable space so that mom can care for her little ones in a stress-free environment. Fostering a mom and babies requires minimal care. As long as you take care of mom, she takes care of the rest. This foster period can last anywhere between 1 to 3 months. Foster parents should be able to bottle feed if there is maternal neglect or insufficient milk production. Barbie and her babies Beamer, Belle, Beckham, and Bear were lucky enough to have caught the eye of our volunteer supervisor, who brought them into shelter to be fostered. Miley and her whopping 13 puppies were transferred from Miami-Dade Animal Services to our shelter. Additionally, Miley's puppies Lily, Kim, Sandra, Tucker, Poppy, Tate, Bruno, Ghost Pepper, Silver, Jason, Brian, Bonnie, and Maria were sent out into individual foster homes for another 4 weeks worth of foster care as weaned puppies. Many foster parents will opt to take care of mom with her litter while they are nursing, and then will return the family back to shelter when the puppies or kittens are ready to be weaned onto wet food. Next up is one of our most in-demand categories needing a never-ending amount of assistance. Neonates are the most vulnerable of orphaned animals and require around-the-clock commitment. They depend on their foster parent for all their basic needs. When they're under 2 weeks of age, they need to be bottle fed every 2 to 3 hours. But as they get older, the amount increases and the frequency of feedings usually decreases. Since they require 24/7 care, the ideal foster parent works from home,
is able to take their foster to work with them, or has friends and family members that will fill in to provide all the medical care that is needed. Neonate foster parents should be prepared to foster for 4 to 8 weeks. However, emergency or temporary fosters are much appreciated as an animal this young cannot be left unattended in shelter overnight. Temporary foster parents will usually opt to foster a neonate for 1 to 2 weeks or until a foster home is found. Pictured on the left-hand side are two neonates named Simon and Garfunkel, who are well known by our medical team for their funky ringworm tones. One of our very own technicians ended up fostering both kittens until they were ready for adoption. Pictured to the right is a neonate puppy named Monaco who needed just a little bit of assistance with being bottle fed by a foster parent before he became strong enough to nurse for mom. Our next foster category is one of the most common foster categories to foster. Weaned kittens and puppies ranging between 4 to 8 weeks of age do not require around-the-clock care and are ideal for those foster parents who work outside of the home. Weaned foster animals can eat without assistance and are using the litter box or wee-wee pad on their own. Although they do not require around-the-clock care, weaned animals require socialization, as this is a crucial age for both kittens and puppies to develop good manners and trusting relationships. Foster parents can expect the period to be anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. Keep in mind a foster animal's age, weight, physical, and behavioral health will determine the duration of the foster period. Auburn, Blaze, and Mabel are the perfect example of this because they were not only fostered once as weaned kittens, but twice as socialization cases. After a thorough foster care experience with several different foster parents, all three kittens were made available for adoption and finally found their forever homes shortly after. Downy, Charmin, Tide, and Granite were surrendered to our shelter along with 7 more siblings. These puppies only needed 2 weeks worth of foster care before being scooped up by their forever families. Next on this list is a category that I foster very often.
The ideal foster parent for a medical case is someone who will be comfortable administering medication and has had previous experience with caring for an animal that is in a fragile state. This foster parent should also be prepared to monitor the pet very closely for any changes in its condition, as well as bring the animal into shelter as frequently as needed for treatment. Foster periods can be anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. To the left of the slide, we have Archie, a very sweet puppy despite the cards he was dealt. All Archie needed was loads of TLC along with his topical medication and medicated baths before finding his forever family. Foster kitten Carlota was abandoned at shelter with an extremely infected left eye that later had to be removed. Thankfully, she was fostered by someone who was able to keep her separate from her resident pets until she finished her course of treatment. She would not be the kitten she is today without the TLC she received in foster care, especially when she needed it the most. Currently, large adult dogs that go out into foster are usually non-behavioral and remain available for adoption while out in foster. Our dog foster category is designed to help prepare and aid our healthy adult dogs with their future adoption. While in foster care, common behavioral concerns that are related to the transition from a shelter to a home environment are addressed, insights into a dog's personality are gathered to aid with adoption, and kennel stress is alleviated by this temporary foster vacation. And most importantly, our shelter dogs receive the individual attention they so desperately need and crave. In addition, routinely fostering a dog helps alleviate space in shelter, allowing us to maximize our resources and further our mission of helping even more homeless animals. The foster period for this category ranges between 1 to 3 months, and as you can see pictured on this slide, there's a dog named Jones who displayed severe signs of kennel stress and separation anxiety by relentlessly spinning at his door. Thanks to his caring foster parent, Jones was able to take a break from shelter, which in turn lowered his levels of kennel stress and anxiety upon his return back to shelter.
Foster animals that go into foster care for socialization require patience and behavior modification. Positive reinforcement is used to help the pet develop trusting relationships and to minimize unwanted behaviors. Foster periods for socialization are usually assessed on a case-by-case basis, but generally will range between 1 to 3 months. Pictured on this slide is a cat named Oliver who was absolutely terrified of shelter life. He would spend most of his days hiding under a rug. Over the course of 4 months, Oliver had an unbelievable transformation while in foster care, thanks to his very patient foster mom who worked tirelessly to gain his trust.
What does the Humane Society provide for fosters? The shelter provides everything and anything you could possibly need for your foster pet, including supplies that will be based on the foster pet's species, age, and medical condition, In addition, all medical care and food. And lastly, support. Remember, I'm here to help, guide, and educate you throughout the entire foster period. Be sure to let me know of any medical or behavioral concerns, questions, and comments. To get a better idea of what supplies are provided based on the needs of the foster, please direct your attention to our supply bag examples for kittens and puppies.
Items such as puppy pads, disposable litter boxes, non-clumping litter, litter scoopers, bedding, bowls, food, nursing bottles, formula, heat lamps, kiddie pools for nursing moms, toys, crates, playpens, and lastly, a carrier to transport the pet to and from shelter may all be provided depending on the category you are fostering. Now that you know what the shelter provides, let's take a look at what foster parents provide.
A foster parent assumes the responsibility of caring for a pet until it is physically and socially ready to be adopted into a permanent loving home. Foster parents are volunteering their time and space while also providing physical care, socialization, and medical care. The foster parent is also responsible for transporting their foster pet to and from the shelter on a biweekly basis for medical care and/or to an affiliated hospital for emergency care if needed. In addition to providing supplies, the Humane Society of Greater Miami prepares their foster animals for their stay with you by providing health evaluations and ongoing care for conditions such as upper respiratory infection, ringworm, parasites, FVLV, or FIV in cats. Each animal will undergo a behavioral evaluation, and last but not least, animals will also receive preventative medicine and care such as vaccinations, dewormer, and flea and tick prevention. Foster parents should never take their foster pet to their own veterinary clinic for medical care. The Humane Society will not be responsible for reimbursement. However, the shelter will also approve select veterinary clinics to treat our shelter pets should it be an after-hours emergency. A quick fun fact about Mojo and Jojo is that they were brought into shelter together as neonates and actually ended up getting adopted together once they were old enough to return back to shelter. To the right of Mojo and Jojo, we have an unforgettable neonate kitten named Cream Puff who had the biggest of personalities right from the start. On a more serious note, though,
even with a thorough health and temperament evaluation, some unforeseen health conditions and behaviors may not be detected prior to the start of a foster period. It is important to remember that the Humane Society of Greater Miami cannot guarantee the health or temperament of any foster animal. If for any reason your own resident pet becomes sick while you're fostering, you are responsible for the cost of their veterinary care. However, if your foster pet becomes ill, the Humane Society of Greater Miami will always provide the necessary medical care at no charge of the foster parent. Now, to address the concerns that were raised from the previous slide, let's discuss the several important ways you can protect yourself, resident pets, and foster pets from each other. Number 1. Quarantine period. Although foster animals are given a health check before being placed into a foster home, a 7 to 14-day quarantine period is mandatory for every foster pet before you introduce them to your resident pet. Number 2. Isolation room. The foster parent will need to allocate an isolation room within a spare bathroom, playpen, or separate room in order to conduct a proper quarantine period. This step should be easy as every foster pet needs to have their own enclosed safe space for when left unsupervised. An isolation room should be easy to disinfect, warm, and quiet. Number 3. Cleanliness. Create a cleaning routine. Frequency is determined by the health status of your foster pet and how quickly they can make a mess. A clean environment not only equals a clean foster pet and more cuddle time, but it also equals a healthy foster pet as well. Hygiene. Wash your hands before and after handling foster pets. In addition, set aside specific clothing and shoes to enter your isolation room, especially during the quarantine period, or if your foster pet is under medical treatment. Number 4. Fomite transmission. Fomite transmission refers to the transmission of infectious diseases by bacteria or viruses left on the object. Avoid fomite transmission or cross-contamination by keeping contaminated grooming tools, bedding, bowls, or litter boxes away from household pets. Be mindful of infected foster pets coming into contact with your clothing, shoes, or hands, and practice good hygiene to avoid being a fomite yourself. Contrary to what most people think, you actually do not need a lot of space to set up your foster's isolation room, which is also commonly referred to as their safe space once the quarantine period is over. What's most important is that their area is safe, cozy, temperature controlled, and away from other animals. Do not stress if you do not have a small enclosed room like a spare bathroom available to conduct a quarantine period. Thankfully, the Humane Society of Greater Miami will loan metal crates or playpens while supplies last. Do not forget to prep-proof the area by blocking off electrical outlets, any spaces that the foster pet could crawl into and hide in, put away small items that can be swallowed, hide any breakable items, and never leave candles unattended. Keep foods, beverages, plants, and potentially poisonous substances that are easily accessible to the foster pet out of reach. Secure anything that dangles, including curtain tassels, window blind cords, and electrical cords. Pictured on the slide are some great examples of foster spaces being set up within either a playpen or a spare bathroom. Furthermore, depending on the animal's age, species, and needs, your foster space may vary. For example, a 3-week-old kitten, such as the one pictured in the slide, does not need as much space as a weaned puppy or kitten. In this case, a spare bathtub works great. As long as it has its litter box, lined with bedding, and a heat source, this kitten is doing awesome in the bathtub. The foster pet should also have access to a bed, a litter box, puppy pad, toys to play with, and their food and water bowls 24/7. Lastly, and most importantly, I can't stress it enough, your foster pet needs to stay confined in an enclosed pet-proofed area when you are away from home, through the night while you're sleeping, and when you are not actively engaging with him or her. Let's dive a little deeper into the importance of following our guidelines, especially when it comes to keeping your foster pets safely confined. Our main goal is to keep both you and your foster pet safe. So whenever a rule appears too restrictive, just keep in mind there is always a reason behind the rule, and more times than not, there was an incident that occurred which forced the rule into place. Most commonly, foster parents will unintentionally disregard the importance of a safe enclosed area. But where would you place a human baby or toddler if you were not actively engaging or supervising them? The right answer would be a crib or playpen. The kitten pictured to the left was kept within a bedroom while the foster parent went to sleep. This kitten should have been placed within a spare bathroom or playpen that was provided. The kitten ended up with a fractured back leg. Unfortunately, an entire bedroom with both furniture to crawl under and climb onto is not a safe enclosed area to leave your foster pet, especially when left unsupervised for an extended period of time, such as overnight. The kitten to the right was left unattended with a large dog. The dog never showed signs of aggression with any previous foster kittens, so as time went on, the foster parent became more relaxed with allowing everyone to free roam into each other's designated areas. One kitten was found tragically deceased within the dog's crate, and the second kitten managed to get away with an injured tail that later had to be partially amputated. The foster parent had over 10 years of experience with fostering, and in the matter of mere seconds, this tragic incident took place. You can never be too careful, and if you are simply stepping away for a few minutes, it is imperative to take the appropriate measures by securing everyone in their designated safe space. Sadly, I can go on as there have been additional incidents that range from minor injuries to fatalities. These incidents affect the animals, myself, and our medical team as we work tirelessly to nurse the most critically ill and injured back to health. In no way, shape, or form were these incidents done intentionally, but we can say with confidence that these incidents could have been avoided. We want to continue to offer this great opportunity to our shelter animals and to our foster parents. So we ask you to please help us continue to improve with your feedback and most importantly with your cooperation. In addition to ensuring the safety of your foster pet, another major responsibility and standard of care is monitoring your foster pet's health. Kittens and puppies can fade quickly. That is why it is absolutely crucial to monitor your foster pet's health and report to the foster care coordinator at the first indication of a developing concern or symptom. In addition, a symptom guideline sheet will be provided at your foster pickup appointment to help identify symptoms that may require emergency care or other common symptoms that are a cause for concern. It is extremely helpful to keep a mental or written daily log of the following: appetite or activity level, urination and bowel movements, weight loss, and any other abnormal concerns. And of course, I can't stress it enough, always remember to check in regularly with your foster care coordinator. Moving on to our next slide, let's review all the ways you can get in touch with your foster care coordinator. In an effort to provide as much support as possible in a convenient manner, foster parents can not only call, but they can also text. My most active hours take place Tuesday through Saturday between 8 and 5 p.m. In addition, as a part of this continued effort to keep our foster parents supported, we have implemented an after-hours emergency response number. This is to be used in the event of an emergency after hours between 5 p.m. till 8 a.m. Remember to contact the emergency foster line prior to taking any foster pet to one of our affiliated emergency hospitals. An approval must be obtained prior to prevent any unexpected charges. When calling the emergency line, leave a voicemail with the name of your foster pet and a brief description of what is going on. Your call will be returned with further instructions shortly after. We also recommend keeping cell phones locked with a passcode, as we have experienced a few attempts in communication from our feline friends, and to no one's surprise, they always seem to demand more toys. I would also like to cover the fact that our foster care program operates by appointment in an effort to reduce unnecessary wait times. So whether you are low on supplies, concerned about a symptom your foster pet is displaying, interested in picking up a foster animal in need, or unable to continue to foster and need to drop off, please remember to contact your foster care coordinator within 24 to 48 hours in advance before coming to shelter. Keep in mind, our medical team handles foster appointments as well as processing and examining animals being surrendered or abandoned throughout the day. Due to this, there may be a wait time during medical appointments. It is preferred and strongly encouraged for foster parents to utilize our drop-off option, and we will notify you when your foster pet is ready to be picked up. Moving on to our next slide, we will be discussing our guidelines when taking foster pet photos. Documenting the behavioral growth of socialization fosters can be a very rewarding component of helping your foster capture someone's heart. For example, pictured on the left of this slide is Kevin before and after a socialization foster. The Humane Society really encourages foster parents to document the physical growth and healing process of their foster pets by taking photos. However, it must be understood that these photos are for internal use and are not meant to be posted on social media, at least without prior consent from your foster care coordinator. To the right of Kevin is Graham, a neonate kitten who needed an emergency amputation of one of his back legs. Graham's before and after pictures captured not only his healing process and physical growth, but his potential adopter's attention as well. Thankfully, both kitties were able to find their forever homes shortly after being made available for adoption. Now that we have gone over a few rules, let's make sure you are ready to foster. Here's 3 key components to bear in mind when asking yourself whether or not you're ready to foster. Double check to make sure everyone in the house agrees to foster. Pet proof and prepare your home by making sure you have a spare bathroom or enclosed area to isolate the foster pet. And don't forget to remove any hazards as well as block off any hiding spots. And last but not least, make sure to address the topic of foster attachment with everyone in the household. On our next slide, we'll discuss a little more about foster attachment to get a better understanding of what exactly it entails.
Foster attachment can often become an issue towards the end of the foster period, so we want to make sure that we are setting you up for success. Recognizing the possibility of attachment from the very start of your journey will allow you to mentally prepare in advance for when it's time to say goodbye. Not everyone has the emotional strength, time, and passion for animals that is needed in order to become a foster parent, and that's okay. But for this very reason, we need foster parents such as yourself to continue to foster because not everyone can. We understand that foster fails take place and that there is a special emotional bond that develops between a foster parent and an animal in need. However, I personally try to remind myself that I can love an animal without having to possess it as my own. So here are a few more tips to help with foster attachment. Remind yourself this animal needs you now as a temporary caretaker and safe haven. Throw a graduation party or goodbye party with family and friends. Remind yourself that you have saved a life and you'll be able to continue to save more by fostering. If you're feeling down, do it all over again and foster another furry friend. Lastly, talk to someone, family, friends, other foster parents, or your foster care coordinator. Feel free to always reach out to me in the event you have any additional questions in regards to foster attachment. But for now, let's go over some frequently asked questions within the next 2 slides. Number 1, who will take care of my foster pet if I need to go out of town? If you have travel plans while you are fostering, you will need to contact the foster care coordinator and make arrangements to return your foster pet. Please provide at least 48-hour notice to ensure that we have space for your foster pet. If your trip is over a holiday, please provide a minimum of 72-hour notice. Number 2, what if myself or someone I know is interested in adopting one of my foster pets? If you or someone you know is interested in adopting one of your foster pets, they will have to go through the normal adoption process and submit an adoption application when the pet is ready for adoption. Please be advised that adoptions are never guaranteed and no special arrangements can be made. Number 3, do I have to buy anything for my foster pets before picking them up? No, you do not have to purchase anything. All supplies are provided by the Humane Society of Greater Miami. Number 4, how long is the foster period? The foster period is based off of the animal's needs and the foster parent's availability. A foster period can range anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months. Please let your foster care coordinator know if you are available for only a certain amount of time. Number 5, can I let my foster pet play with my personal pets? Yes, however, we strongly recommend that you keep them separated from your personal pets for a minimum of 7 to 14 days. Once your foster pet has completed a proper quarantine period, it should be safe to have them interact. Number 6, can I foster even if I have a full-time job? Yes, we will match you with a foster pet appropriate for your schedule. However, we will need you to be available to take your foster pet to and from shelter for appointments as needed and/or to a partnered hospital in the event of an emergency. Number 7, how much time do I spend with my foster pets? As much time as you can. The more time spent with your foster pets, the more socialized they will be with people. Number 8, how many foster pets will I be fostering? The number of foster pets placed into a home varies on the size of the litter. Usually, fosters are placed in pairs so they can socialize and learn from each other. There are special circumstances in which a foster pet goes into a foster home alone. This can occur if the animal arrives to shelter alone or is separated from its siblings for either a medical or behavioral reason. We're almost done, so hang in there just a little longer as we take a look at some important next steps to complete after completing our foster care orientation. Number 1, create your Volgistics login by referring back to your approval email. A link will be attached to set up your username and password. Volgistics will act as your new foster parent portal where you can access all foster-related documents and resources. Number 2, check your email and spam folder for any emails from foster@humanesocietymiami.org for updates in regards to the program. Number 3, save your foster care coordinator's contact information and make sure your phone settings are set to notify you when you are contacted via email or text. Most foster outreach attempts will take place both via email or text. Number 4, please let your foster care coordinator know when you are available. Number 5, expect a call, text, or email when we have foster animals in need. Finally, I want to give a big thank you to all future and current foster parents, because without your help, our mission of saving as many animals as possible would not be attainable. Congratulations on completing our foster orientation, and thank you for participating. You are now ready to embark on your foster journey. Please feel free to reach out to your foster care coordinator with any questions you might have. Happy fostering!